Welcome to Beyond the Work, Tales in Multifamily Maintenance. My name is Chris Caramanica. As a 15-plus year veteran in the apartment industry, I have stories to tell, a desire to hear and tell others' stories. As a multiple committee member for NAA, a CAMT advisory board member and a CAMT holder, and a national presenter and educator, I have met and worked with so many great people in our industry at all different levels. This is not going to be a how-to podcast. This is going to be a how-did podcast. We are going to explore the how-did tales in multifamily maintenance. How did we do it? How did we learn from it? How did we grow? How did we decide not to do it again? Join me as we go beyond the work.
Tara Samuels, thank you so much for joining me today on Beyond the Work, Tales in Multifamily Maintenance.
What's up, Chris? This has been a long time coming, I feel like.
We have played a lot of phone tag, a lot of email tag, a lot of in-person tag. We're coming off Apartmentalize was just 2 short weeks ago. I saw you from across the room. Knowing that we were going to talk today, I gave you a quick hug and said, just in case I don't see you again, and I didn't. And that was like Tuesday morning, right? And I saw you from across the room, ran over, gave you a quick hug, and said, in case I don't see you again, we'll talk later. And later happened to be exactly 2 weeks to the day of when I did that.
Can I just tell you that I feel like that's almost everybody's description of these conferences, especially our Super Bowl, right? Most of the networking is happening running through the halls. My favorite spots, the bathroom, the escalator, the elevator, the hallways. I mean, that's where all of the magic happens.
It is where all the magic happens. So I know you. You and I have ran in similar circles for the last few years, and been involved in various things with NAA and a couple things that we'll talk about. But my audience might not know you. So why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your background and what you do by day and what you do by night.
It's like a whole mysterious thing, right? Okay, so I love that tee up. I am Tara Samuels. I will give you a little bit of flavor of who I am, kind of where I came from. So most people know that I'm a Chicago girl. And if you don't know, I'm a Chicago girl. I only moved to Atlanta 3 years ago. And the fun multifamily tie-in to that story is the entire career that I spent in multifamily was Chicago-based. And then one day I decided to go to the Indianapolis Apartment Association trade show. And lo and behold, I met my future husband.
My God.
So yeah, my husband, Rob, is also in the industry. My mother-in-law just retired from the industry, but our kids don't want anything to do with the industry. So I guess the family lineage of multifamily will die with me. That's okay, because I'm the younger one. But so I spent half my time in this industry on site. So I started off as a part-time weekend girl, and I worked my way up to property management, spent about a decade on site. So I love all the perspective and the stories that I have from working on that side of our industry. And then I joined the supplier side in 2009, and I have been here ever since, with one caveat, which is I did try to escape. And it is a boomerang industry. I feel like, Chris, you'd probably agree with that. You probably know people that go out and we're back.
Yeah.
So I was one of those people, which I actually appreciate because it gave me a lot of different perspective coming in with a refresh and taking on a different role. My daytime job is with MSB Resources. I'm their SVP of Strategic Partnerships, which basically means Brad, who's our founder, has done an exceptional job for 20 years of building a wonderful company. But he's like, I think we're at the point now where we need a little bit more name recognition elsewhere in the country. So I'm helping with that. And then my other focus is helping companies keep their people, which most people are like, I don't understand. Aren't you a recruiting company? And yes, we are. But so we're implementing strategies for retention and employee engagement that can help companies like Win to keep good people when they get them. And then by night, You're very familiar with my passion project. So that's multifamily mentor matchmaking. We are, I guess our anniversary, we're basically at the 2.5 year mark. And we've just surpassed 700 members. And
Wow,
we
congratulations.
just launched the website a month ago. Thank you. So that is kind of me in a nutshell. Um, like just multifamily and personal.
Yeah, so we'll put a little bit more information. I do want to talk about the multifamily mentor matchmaking. It's really unique, and we will put some information for the listening audience in the comment section and in the bio of our videos
Yeah.
for this episode. Full disclosure, I will be the first to say I joined the matchmaking group a little over a year ago. You were so
Mm-hmm.
nice, and I got set up with a great mentee that I was working with. But then you had some changes, and you asked everybody to re-sign up. So in
Mm-hmm.
preparation for today, I went to the new website and was like so excited. And I went to the directory, and as most people do, on Google or when there's a directory that you should think you
Mm-hmm.
should be in, I searched my name and I wasn't in there, and I was like, I am so embarrassed. So I will be your 701 member. So I have re-signed up and rejoined. I'm looking forward to hopefully getting matched with a great mentee or a great mentor.
I
Because
love it.
I selected both options
Yes,
because I think that you are never too old to have to be a mentor or to be a mentee. So looking
I
forward
love it.
to that.
Yeah. And you know what? Your like focus in multifamily kind of is a special place in my heart because I've always kind of, I think it's just from working on site for so many years, anybody that has anything to do with maintenance, that's where we need to highlight more of because as you know, when someone starts out, whether it's groundskeeper, porter, whatever that looks like, they're the lifeblood of that community. They keep the passion going and they have all of the secrets. They know all the stuff about the residents. And so anyway, with the spirit of mentorship and matchmaking and that community that I've built, I really am on a mission and I need people like you and Paul Rhodes to help me and Adrian Danila, which you guys are all members, but getting more maintenance professionals in this community because we need it. I want it to be more balanced. And so I set out in the beginning of this group that was one of the underserved sides of our industry that I wanted to make sure was represented in the mentorship group for sure.
Yeah, it's great to hear. And, it's funny because you ask any maintenance technician, any maintenance supervisor on site, they all had a mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't just graduate high school or, leave their house knowing how to do all the things. Somebody had to
Mm-hmm.
mentor them on how to make repairs, how to mentor them on how to talk to residents. But maybe they just didn't have the formal structure
Mm-hmm.
of that relationship. Most maintenance professionals have multiple mentors. I have a mentor for HVAC. I have a mentor for leadership. I have a mentor for training. All of these like little things that I have sought after people. And I think that, hopefully we can get this message out to more maintenance professionals and it will get filtered down because they're already doing it. But let's help formalize it and get the word out there about your group because it is so important for the growth and retention of people in our industry at all levels,
I
but
love it.
definitely with maintenance. So,
I love it. And I wish I could remember who this person was, but somebody I talked with in recently, I met them at a conference. This is a very, very sharp turn on the story, but like this person actually started in maintenance, but now is in like management on operations that has nothing to do with maintenance. They decided that they had like a liking to asset management. And it just goes to show that if you start as a leasing agent, if you start as a porter or a groundskeeper, this is why I love multifamily. You can go any direction with your life, with your career path, as long as you, one, are aware that that exists because sometimes they don't know. that they have opportunities. And a lot of leasing agents don't know, for example, that you don't have to become a regional manager. You can kind of take a turn and maybe go marketing. You can go HR. So I love the industry as like an umbrella that you can basically just like, here we've got the whole thing, take it which way. But to your point, we've got to do a better job of letting maintenance professionals know how to get a mentor, and that this type of group and community does exist.
Yeah, and your website is fantastic. The Multifamily Mentor Matchmaking.com website.
Thank
Oh,
you.
lots of M's in there.
A lot of M's.
A lot of M's.
MMN, MMM. It's like a happy marriage.
We'll get that. We'll get that out there. I think it's really great and easy to find. People that are already involved in the group. Like I said, I was able to quickly search that I was not signed up because I didn't read the newsletter that I get every single week. So that's also a plug for just in general, read the newsletters, whether they're coming from Tara or they're coming from NAA or they're just coming from our wonderful newsletter that's done by Jennifer Carter at the Multifamily Media Network. There's always a nugget of wisdom and sometimes an action item like signing up for something.
That's okay. And I need to plug, if you don't mind, because to the credit of the website, I think one of the most humbling things that has happened to me with this group is two people from the group who've had success and who've been there since the beginning watched me try to run this thing off of a Google spreadsheet alone, which it has done wonders and the community is there. But Grady Newman from Resi and Stacy Feeney from Zip Code Creative both stepped up and said, Tara, can we help you build a website? And I was like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God.
Goodbye, Google Sheets.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I think what I like about the story of the group is that for 2 years, it was just a Google Sheet. And that was it. And we built community with all of the calls. You get the invites. I'm doing calls all the time. And then the newsletter, the LinkedIn group, the Slack channel, there's all the things, the YouTube channel. But now we finally have a place for people to really kind of cut their teeth and be like, whoa, Chris is in this group. I've always wanted to talk to him. That's what the gallery is for. And that's why it's so important for everybody to be in it, is because it allows people. I want to showcase diversity as much as I can, which then speaks to inclusion. I want everybody in multifamily to be included. It doesn't matter what level you are, anyone's allowed in this group. As long as it's multifamily, you're in. So supplier, doesn't matter.
That's awesome. I want to shift gears a little bit, kind of on topic, but kind of not. You are a queen of networking. And I'm always, and I think that's where a little bit of this mentor matchmaking came from, right? Is that you just knew all these people and you were able to connect people in a unique way. And that turned into this passion project of yours, which is fantastic. Networking is hard for me. And I think a lot of people, friends and family that might be listening to this going, he's lying or he's just saying that, but no, it is. It's very difficult. So I want to talk a little bit about this. Is not going to be a therapy session, I promise. But I want to know from you, what are some of your what are some of the things that you do to build your network or reinforce your network, to get to know new people, to get to know new things? Let's go down that road a little bit, because I think that's good. You're a subject matter expert and you can mentor me in better networking, I think.
Well, thank you for that. And it takes a lot of vulnerability to kind of know where your blind spots are, where you're just maybe needing some assistance, some mentorship, some influence, whatever that looks like. I'll start off by saying that before this mentor group thing was created, my kind of claim to fame on LinkedIn was that networking takes work. That was like my middle name. And that's something that I felt super passionate about, because the word work is in the word network. And so I think people forget that you can't just build a network overnight. It's not going to just come to you like a magnet. It doesn't happen like that. You have to work and be intentional. So what does that even mean? It's bite size. What I think is for people to think like, oh my God, how do I get to like 20,000 followers on LinkedIn? Don't think of it like that. Don't even like, that's cool to have an agenda and a goal, but how about just maybe something bite size? Like maybe I would love to have 1 or 2 new connections a day. And maybe 1 or 2 connections a day is too much. So I've really kind of shared with people, let's break it down to the most smallest piece
Love that.
so that it's not intimidating. And how we can translate that to a conference or a networking event or apartmentalize. Sometimes people, even with a group of, let's say, 50 people, it can be intimidating. Now you take it to apartmentalize, you've got 12,000, whatever the number is. Either way, somebody is going to feel overwhelmed. Their social battery might be like, woo, I can't handle this type of environment. But if you coach some of these folks to say, one, find a buddy or a mentor, have a wingman at some of these events. And so the first question I get is, well, how do I find one? Well, let's just say, Chris is going to go to this event up in, let's say, Philly. And you're like, okay, how do I get myself in front of Chris? Get on LinkedIn and send a message and say, first of all, if you're using LinkedIn, please use LinkedIn voice message. It's my favorite feature. It adds authenticity. It's basically like leaving a voicemail. You don't have to wonder what the person, have you not used it yet?
I have not. And I'll be sending you a voice message later, I think.
Yes,
I
it's
promise.
the best. It is the best tool. And so you could simply just say, hey, Chris, I'm Tara. It looks like you and I are going to be at the same event. I would love to just introduce myself. And this is my other tip. Let them know how awkward it is. Networking is intimidating, or I'm a little afraid of networking. So I would love to just make sure I meet up with you at some point. Sometimes there's the sound effects. Like I get overwhelmed in really loud places. It drains my battery. It freaks me out. And so sometimes I don't like those types of environments. So I would say, just kind of back to your original question, make your intention known, make it bite sized so that it's achievable. And don't expect that you're going to get like 10,000 new followers in a year. Don't make it like that. And then follow up. So for example, let's say I didn't know you and I met you at a networking event, but we didn't get a chance to talk. This is where LinkedIn voice message could come in, and I could say, hey, Chris, I saw you from across the room. I really wanted a chance to introduce myself. Sorry it didn't happen, but I love your podcast and I would love a chance to maybe just say hello on a Zoom call. Bam. And that's how you build your network. With it. You've got to be intentional though.
Yeah, for me, you keep saying social battery. My social battery is barely a AA, and some days it's a triple A. And Tara, that we know some people who their batteries they are the Energizer Bunny. They could be up and out at 8 o'clock in the morning, know everybody in the world, talk to everybody in the world until the wee hours. So, I push myself. I force myself in, my tip is to force yourself to being uncomfortable, because that's the only way that you will get comfortable. I started volunteering.
Great way.
And just to be in the room. I joked this apartmentalize just 2 short weeks ago in very hot Las Vegas. It was my 7th consecutive apartmentalize, and I walked around saying I loved it when I didn't know anybody, because that's the kind of person that I am. But at the same time, I get to have a 5-minute conversation with somebody like yourself, or various other people, that even if it's just, hey, I don't get a chance to talk to you that often, but it's good to see you. Let's catch up soon. Coffee, tea, email, read my newsletter, watch my podcast. But that's important, because that is what we do all day with our residents at
Mhm.
property levels. It's what suppliers do all day when they're talking to, on-site teams or regionals. They're just trying to make a brief connection
Mhm.
to either learn more or grow, or in some cases expand business or expand, just for lack of a better word, their network, right?
Mhm.
Um, so I love that. How I I said I have a very light, small battery, social battery. What are some tips that you can give for somebody that may classify or feel that they're more introverted than being an extrovert? Because extroverts have a tendency, they're out, they're the partiers, big social batteries. But introverts, it's a little bit harder. And I do uh, self-identify as an introvert. I am. I've been tested.
Yeah.
It's true. I have paperwork that proves it. For those that don't believe it. But what are some tips and tricks that you may have for somebody that's a little bit more introverted?
It's funny that you asked that because before Apartmentalize, or actually I might have been in the thick of it, I posted on LinkedIn to not apologize for that. Don't like you're as you know, especially since you're on the owner manager side, you're also more visible because you are a podcast host now. People are going to invite you to things. And it is okay to just say no. And if you want to add an extra layer to say, like, you know what, my social battery is below the percentage I need to feel good or to give you my, like, all of me, I'm going to sit this one out, but I appreciate the invite. Own your social battery, own what that percentage is. And we're all looking at our phones and our laptops every day. We see what the battery life is on those things. Why are we not more aware of our own battery life as a human, as a connector, as an employee, as a spouse? Like, it really kind of comes, by no means did I make up social battery. I have no idea who did, but I will steal something from Brene Brown. And my husband has really kind of instilled this in me. He's a big Brene Brown fan, vulnerability, but she has something with her husband that I think is magical, which simply is at every day when they see each other at the end of the day, she might walk in and say to her husband, I'm at a 20%. I need you to carry the other 80 because I had one of those days where she can't maybe give all of herself to him or the kids or whatever. And he looks at that and is like, I got you. And so on the flip side, he gets that same permission. It's a vulnerable space to not feel like you have to fake it. I am so not like it. First of all, I can't even articulate it. I hate the phrase fake it till you make it. I think it's crap. I really think it's crap because that means you're generally coming in without being your authentic self. And that I'm not okay with. I think it's okay, back to your original question, that if you're invited to something via email or invited by phone or in person in the moment, allow yourself to say, my social battery is at blank. And if you feel like it's at the percentage that you can go in, but you're like, I can't really do the whole thing, just say, like, you know what? I am happy to come for about 30 minutes, but that's all I can really take socially. If you're okay with that, I'd be happy to come and support your event or whatever that is. So it's really about owning it and recognizing, but you have to articulate it because I can't read your mind and you can't read my mind.
Well, we're talking in the realms that we work in, right? We're regionals, we're executives, but let's distill this and look at this at the property level, right?
Okay.
Is that when you have on-site property management teams and you have on-site maintenance teams, it's the same thing. I was on site, you were on site.
Mm-hmm.
We always talk about the marriage between operations and maintenance. And your example is perfectly fits that, is that some days maintenance does not want to, deal with Miss Jones for the 100th time. So I'm going to need you to, I'm at a 20% with Miss Jones. I need you to pick up the other 80. Can I focus on vacant units as opposed to doing residential work orders? And those
Mm-hmm.
conversations need to be had just like they happen, behind our closed doors at our houses. They need to be happening in our behind closed doors at our offices. So I think that, your analogy there is perfect for both home and work. And it needs to really and I have had these conversations with my maintenance team. Hey, can you go handle this work order? If I took one more AC call today, it's 95 degrees here in New
Yeah.
Jersey, right?
Yeah.
And it's as simple as just having those conversations, but it's the same kind of thing. Is that, your social battery is not just about social events. It also is your work battery,
Yeah.
because we are in a social environment.
I love that. And I want to share something that I heard recently. I thought this was brilliant. So this kind of ties in, and I wish I kind of had this tip 20 years ago when I was on site. But I was at the RetCon conference earlier this year back in Vegas. And there was a woman who spoke. I don't remember her name, but what she shared for her management company was that everybody gets a safe word. And the safe word they tie to their favorite snack. So let's say your favorite snack is a Snickers bar. So you would say to me, so you and I are working at the same property, and you would come up to me and say, Tara, Snickers. And that means you get 10 minutes. It's either 10 or 15 minutes where you don't have to tell me why, but you need to remove yourself from whatever your current situation is. And you need a minute. You need to take a breath. You need to take a walk. You need to sit in your car and maybe listen to music. However, you need to decompress, kind of come full present. Maybe you're just like, you just had a Mrs. Jones kind of come at you and you're like, oh my God, I need a minute. That is something in terms of like a workplace love language that they have instilled across their entire company. Everybody feels safe to use it. They don't have to explain themselves. Maybe you're just not feeling good. Maybe something's going on at home and you're just not quite ready to share what that is, but you were triggered by something. Maybe a song came on in the office and it triggered a loved one just passed. I mean, it doesn't matter. If you say Snickers, I know, hey, Chris, I got you.
Yep.
Go do your thing. And then maybe that's all it takes is a reset moment. And then you can go to Mrs. Jones. But if you can't, then you can, but you have to be responsible enough to have that communication with your team to just say like, hey, can you cover Mrs. Jones? I'm not feeling it. But it's really about the delivery, right? Like if you're passive aggressive about it or you're not kind about it, then you don't really have a good trusting dynamic with your team. But if you kind of set those boundaries and those parameters as a team in the very beginning, with whether it's like your huddle as a team every day, every week, whatever, then everybody kind of knows that they have the ability to breathe and deal with things. But I was like, man, the snack thing with the safe word, so brilliant.
I love the idea. And, especially in this day and age, you never know who's around and who's listening. You don't want to walk into an office and say, listen, I need to take a break. I need to take a mental health break. Or, if one more person asks me a question, I'm going to lose it. It's a lot easier to say Snickers, right?
Exactly.
Like, hey, I'm going to go have a Snickers. Cool. We're all on the same page.
Yep.
We all know what's going to happen.
No explanation needed.
No explanation. So, geez, I have a million things that I want to talk to you about.
Can I challenge you about something really quick, though? Going back to something you said.
Yeah, okay. Please.
You said something before about, you used the word force. You were like, I'm forcing myself to in these social situations. The only thing I want to say to that is the word force to me is negative, and it, I think, has a lot of pressure behind it. So I would love to challenge you to shift your mindset and say, maybe challenge. I'm going to challenge myself to push myself out of my comfort zone or whatever that looks like. But I don't remember exactly how you said it. But I think if you, because I'm the queen of shit negative self-talk. I've done a lot of apartment association presentations about control, alt, delete your self-talk. It's one of my favorite topics to talk about. Why? Because I'm terrible at it, and it takes me to work at it every single day. And I have a great support at home. My husband recognizes that's one of my downfalls, and he's like, all right, we'll say the word like reframe. I'll say something that maybe bothered me and he'll go, okay. Actually, he says spin it. He'll say, all right, now spin that. And I'm like, okay, I sat in traffic for an extra 20 minutes to get to this meeting, but I'm spinning it positive because that gave me 20 minutes to listen to Chris's podcast in the car that maybe I wasn't able to do had I not been sitting in traffic. So I just want, as I hear people talk with a word that might sound negative, I recognize it more because it's something I'm trying to work on every day.
And it's funny because I do the same thing as you and your husband. I'm always trying to look on the bright side. I'm always trying to spin it. I'm always trying to, you know, one of the things I always talk about is that the person isn't honking at you, and is that like I'm in the car a lot. Lots of people are honking behind me, and I always say to myself, they're not honking at me, and I think that's part of it. Yes, I shit talk myself. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to put a little. Now we've had 2 curse words.
Mike
Apologies.
should know better if I'm on it. There's going to be something.
Oh no, it's okay. So, but I always am the advocate for using the right words, or using choice words to maybe take out the negativity, or take out sometimes even the venom out of the word choices that we use. I'm very big on that, both at home and at work. So I will not say force anymore. I will say I challenged myself.
I love that.
Yeah. But originally I
are
was forcing myself to do it. Yeah.
But isn't this how we learn? Like, is we just because basically you and I are just having a casual conversation.
Yeah.
And we have so much we can learn from one another. And that is, and I'll give you a traffic tip. I thought this was the funniest thing from Chicago. I had a little bit of Chicago road rage in me. Atlanta traffic when I moved there, good Lord, it is next level awful. So my buddy and former leader, Marshall Friday, you know Marshall?
No.
He's super visible on LinkedIn. Follow him. He shared a tip with me and he said, Tara, here's what you do. The next time you're in traffic and you're bothered by the guy honking or cutting you off or whatever the situation is, just think to yourself that maybe that person has diarrhea and they just need to get home and they're in a hurry and you don't know what they're facing inside that car. And so that's why they're honking and they're impatient and they're maybe throwing up their fingers and their fists. And he's like, they just have to get to a toilet. And I was like, are you serious? I have used it every time. And what I do is I end up thinking of it and I start laughing.
Yeah.
So instantly my mood is changed.
Yeah, I will remember that. I'm teaching my 16-year-old daughter to drive right now.
Oh, God help you.
So that is my cross to bear. But I drive all the time, so I'm a very positive. I try to stay very positive. So I will tell her that the next time that we go out, and that will definitely change her mood. And I will definitely give you and Marshall credit for that, because that's pretty cool.
It works. It's so, and I think this is like the sum of our industry, or it doesn't matter what industry you work in. It's a mindset shift.
Yes.
Whether it's about mentorship, maintenance, managing, leadership, hiring, it really doesn't matter. It's these small micro moment mindset shifts. That's what I work on every single day. And listen, there's days, Chris, where I'm really good at it. And there's days where I'm like, I could have done so much better. And that's just being human.
Yeah. And, on that note, I think everybody goes through that. And I think that it's important I try not to carry what happened yesterday into today, and what happened today into tomorrow. And I think that's so good. I reset every single morning. That, you know what? Yep, I may still have to deal with what happened yesterday, but I don't have to have the same feelings that I had yesterday about it. So let's shift gears a little bit. What is next what do you have do you have anything on the horizon for the mentor matchmaking group?
Oh,
what's coming?
So many things.
Okay, come on. Give me an exclusive. Come on.
Let's start with...
I won't tell anybody.
How do I get people to read the newsletter? Just kidding. Okay, so many things. The website was really the last 6 to 9 months focus. So now that that has launched, what I'm looking to do is we're going to start opening up supplier sponsor partnerships that will allow me to take in money to invest back into the group for things like a matching software. I would love to implement a rating system for mentor and mentees, just like as you leave your Uber, you're rating your Uber driver and they get to rate you. This was something my husband thought of, and I was like, that's brilliant. Because you know what? Sometimes, Chris, people don't bring their best self to the mentor mentee relationship. So maybe the other half of the relationship is feeling a little like, well, that kind of sucked, or geez, they didn't show up to the calls. And so, how can we do a rating system? There will be a podcast. I think what's amazing about the idea of the podcast is it will be 0% about Tara. It's going to be featuring, every episode will feature 2 people that met in the group and sharing their story. There's nothing like it out there in our industry. And I waited because a lot of people are like, well, why didn't you start the podcast in the beginning, like when you started the group? And I'm like, I wanted a couple of years of stories and people like who've taken a journey together. What does that look like? What can you share? Like tips, tricks. And it's going to be an authentic piece of me where I'm going to throw in some curveballs and try to get under the surface and find out a little bit about that person. It's not just going to be about mentorship. And then knock on wood, we originally thought we were going to try to have a mentorship conference next year, but I think it's probably going to be 2027, which I can't believe that that's only 2 years away or a year and a half away. That will be really like a feel good, unlike a regular conference. I'm not a regular conference girl. I don't want people to have to dress up. Sometimes that's why people don't network well, is because they're shoved into clothes they don't feel good in. So I mean, let's talk about like athleisure wear, pajamas, like super comfy. I'm talking like camp environment,
I'm
you know,
in.
all
Sign
that.
me up. I will be your first.
Just,
I will officially be the
yeah.
first person to sign up. I promise.
I love, like my husband, he'll wear a sport jacket, but he's not a tie guy. He's like, I don't want to wear a tie. So like mentorship conference, really, I think it's going to be getting more awareness out there. And so what I'm going to do, you might remember this from last year. I launched a committee by region. I didn't do anything with it because I think I launched it too prematurely for anyone to really be able to help. I have a 9 to 5, so I need some advocates to help me run some calls and spread the word when I can't be available. So we're going to relaunch the committee for those that are really passionate and want to kind of help out. I really want people to remember this as like a volunteer group. So I don't know about you, but like I have charities that I'm really passionate about, and giving back in some form is something I'm passionate about. So that platform of mentorship, I really want to be recognized for people as a way to pour some volunteer hours into something that is meaningful. And then lo and behold, NAA, if you're listening, why is multifamily mentor matchmaking not an affinity group? So maybe it can be an affinity group next year.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's kind of like what I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, I one of my recent episodes, a couple episodes ago, was with my mentee for NAA's 20 on the Rise. Who there are 20 people in the program, and 3 of them are maintenance professionals, and it was fantastic. So I think that definitely the National Apartment Association is seeing that importance because they literally. Big shout out to Betsy and Ronald Harrington, Betsy Cunningham and Ronald Harrington that are on that committee, along with so many others and such good work that they're doing over there. So that's pretty cool. What you have going on.
And you just named Betsy and Ronald, who are both in the mentor group.
Yeah.
So like, and what I also love is the founders of the other affinity groups that NAA has are all in the mentor group. So like it's a nice symbiotic safe space for everybody, which is just, that's my jam.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tara, I could talk to you forever. You've given me some good therapy. You've given my viewers and listeners some really good things to think about. I think mentoring it's so ingrained in us, but it's nice that people are starting to formalize it.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's not like, oh, I worked with this person for like 5 years and they're like my mentor. Like, no, there are people that we don't ever get to work with, or might not even be in our, same time zone, that we can reach out to and work with and bounce things off of without the fear of it getting back to our bosses or, or other people in our organization that might be worried how they perceive, questions that we're asking or situations that we're trying to get through. And then the networking thing, I challenge everybody to step out of your comfort zone and find out how to get involved locally, within your own community, within your own apartment communities, affiliates. But there's some great, gave you some great tips and tricks today. And Tara, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
We're going to have the multifamily mentor matchmaking.com link in the bio for these. I encourage all of our listeners to please like and subscribe and sign up. And hopefully you get a flood of new mentors and mentees as part of the group. And I'm looking forward to the great things that you and the group are going to do over the next year.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me and for just kind of sharing my passion for mentorship and the industry.
Yeah. And as you build out some more things, and I'd love to have you back and we can talk more. Or if there's any members of your group that would want to come on and talk about maybe their experiences in the industry, I'm here to listen. I'm here to talk to them.
Yes. I love it. Well, I'm a big fan of your podcast, so thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Tara. So thank you all for joining us for another episode of Beyond the Work, Tales in Multifamily Maintenance, and we'll talk to you all again soon.
Thank you for joining me for this episode. No matter how long you've been in our industry or what position you have at your company or your community, everyone has a maintenance story to tell. Go to www.multifamilymedianetwork.com and leave me a voice message or share your information and we can tell your tale together on a future episode. Please check out our sponsors and like, subscribe, and follow to this podcast or video, and join the Multifamily Media News Network newsletter for upcoming shows and blogs from me and the other great hosts on our network. Our stories all connect us. See you for the next chapter.